Go.
Hi, Noelle Rose Anderson Kale. I'm not my chipper self today, and you know what? I actually don't gotta be. I don't have to be, because really, how am I supposed to act knowing that there's somebody impersonating my daughter who might also try to impersonate me? And I have a very hard to replicate look, actually. And I would like to see who this devil is. I'm really pissed off, though. I'm really pissed off. The person who's impersonating me or my daughter needs to be put in prison and never let out again, because they're a very, very dangerous person. Unbelievable. Wait, we give our social security numbers, right?
Yeah.
Is she using my social security number? That's weird.
Yeah. If that's the case, yes.
I'm gonna read my book to you because it makes me happy. And because I don't want people stealing my book or saying that I said different things other than what is in my printed book. Chapter 5, At the Shoreline. Shackles broken, cage open, my wings just a little rusty. This life is but a fleeting glimpse, a small drop in the ocean. Reflect, choose wisely, breathe the free air, for someday all of our lives will break at the shoreline. But ponder, who will you meet there? I'm gonna meet baby Jesus. Okay, here, why don't you show that page, the intro page, and also the next page with the picture. Oops, sorry,
Something fell out.
just fell out.
There we go.
Did you do both of them?
I did that.
Oh, I said do the other page too. Here.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that. Sorry. There you go. You got some things here and that thing falling out, but I'll just keep that one.
Where's the other ones?
One peeking out of the bottom there of your book.
Oh. Sorry. Do I sound like I have an attitude today? Yeah, I know. I'm an imperfect human being as being heavily whatever. I'm just really getting sick of it because I can't handle this shit much longer. Santa Monica in the summer of 2010. Yeah, that's me doing my little grunge. Yeah, it's almost there. This was a while ago. It's hard to do these because if you're not perfectly stretched out, that's pretty good. So people try to copy me. They do. They're like, see, I can do it better. And they'll do a horizon thing and try to say, see, I'm better than you. Good. Congratulations. I'm glad. Whatever. And then the social media will purposely put it in my feed, trying to get under my skin, and I'm like, no, good for them. I don't, whatever. I documented this because it was the achievement and how I progressed and how happy I was. That's all. The new year had begun, and so did the new semester. I had returned under the tutelage of the bee-fly, who was presenting an informal dance production. I had missed her and was glad to see her again. She seemed genuinely glad to see me as well, and greeted me with a huge smile. Hi, Noelle. I had hoped that our little rough spots from the previous semester would be in the past, and released it to stay there. Pretty much did. During this production, I met a lovely but shy elderly lady named Carol. We became close friends over time, as she wasn't easily won over. Her husband of over 30 years had just passed on, and her heart was understandably vulnerable. She also became a member of my dance company years later. That's true.
Yeah.
Can you tell I just have this air about very heavy today, you know what I mean? Just the weight of what we've learned and what we're going through. The bee-fly mentioned she was looking for dances for the show. Oh, to just go back during that time when things weren't so bad. What the hell is that? And so easily dealt with. Compared to, hey, you might have a bomb planted in your vehicle that might detonate for some reason. And I'm like, great. Is that a hoax? Someone trying to scare us? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm not sure why I felt determined to choreograph a dance for this production, but I inquired about it. She agreed to my dance. That was Phileo. Friendship dance. She loved my music choice, which had a blend of Aramaic and Hebrew words sung to an ancient world score. The theme of friendship pressed heavy on my heart and became the thrust of my dance. We continued where we left off with our relationship the previous semester. All seemed well. It was great to discover that we had so much in common, and I truly began to like her. Many others warned me, again, to be careful not to get too close to her, and at that time I couldn't figure out why, even with our prior relational hiccups. All relationships have challenges. This wasn't new. We actually worked together well, similar to a mentoring situation. I was once again enthralled by the bee-fly in my life, and I wanted to help her for helping me. That's because I'm a good person, and that's what I do. She's also very good at teaching modern, so I was enrolled in that class, as well as ballet. I tended to think that she was not so unlike me, and that while I love ballet, I also liked to rebel against its rigidity. Perhaps so. I had more of a rebel spirit, as I didn't like to always put my hair up and point my toes. I had to dance freely without inhibition like Isadora Duncan and express myself like Martha Graham. Not that I really even knew who these people were. Obviously, I know now. But I just wanted to be me, and that's just who I am genuinely. On her credenza this semester, I noticed her notebook with a transparent sleeve on the front cover. This was a beautiful black and white photo of a dancer. I was immediately engrossed, and I fell in love with the artistry. It was a Lois Greenfield photo of a dancer under stretchy fabric. I loved the way the dancer's body was captured on film in a still moment, suspended in the air and in time. It was extraordinary. Lois's calendars were also hung in her office. The images were all beautiful. I think there was also one in the dance studio, the closet, and when she opened the doors sometimes. Yeah, I think so. And mind-boggling. How was this style photography achieved? I had, of course, seen Lois's trademark photography before early in my training days around early 1990s. How could one not notice them? I mean, right? I just didn't know who the photographer was, and into my young adult self to research. As a mature adult, however, I did the research and fell more in love with this amazing artist and greatly wanted to work with her someday. At that time, I had to settle for gazing at the bee-fly's photos and calendars and just dream. And I actually, well, here, Lois did this cover. When all of us, Lois and all of her assistants and Jay over here, we saw this when she photographed. Oh, I love this one too. This one, I really love that. But we all said, this is it. Because I went to her, I said, I need a really cool book cover, and we didn't plan this. I said, I want to do something with ribbons, red ribbons, and let's just see what happens, And she loved my story, and she gave me a great quote, and yeah. And then I ended up on the cover of her calendar, and the dancer featured for the month of January in the calendar, and I'm really grateful for that. So it's like a Dancers Academy Award or something, that's like a really high honor that very few people receive. And I just want to clarify something. We weren't going for showing off technique or something like this. we were just doing stuff to see what we could experiment with. We really didn't have anything planned except what would you like, and it's like, I want something, you know, just different. And she does do different pretty amazingly. Not that I didn't have anything to do with it. This is a collaboration, you know. And I have little things here. This little thing. This was in one of my other mentors' dances. You know, talk. All you want about me, and it's just gonna go off my back, you know, like water off a duck's back. And then this turned out, and we're like, it looks like a swan, and oh my gosh, this looks like a heart, because Jay just threw the one part of the ribbon, and then an assistant threw another part of the ribbon, and then I threw a part of the ribbon and threw my skirt, and this is just what happened. Nothing is photoshopped or manipulated or anything. We just had a lot of fun. And you know, some of the shots are like, they don't come out perfect, you know, but when we saw this one, we're like, that's the book cover. So we're like, let's get that one. Whoop, whoop. And we did. And I'm very pleased, but I'll read that one later. So, you know, that's me. So why don't I use Kale here? Because I use different forms of my names for different things that I do. You know, trying to keep it separate business-wise because of taxes and all that stuff. But it's still me. It's still all my stuff. You know, and I used Anderson because I was getting sick and tired of, apparently it's Q, following me, finding me, and I thought, okay, maybe this will work. Maybe I can actually get someplace. And then it worked for a little while. They're actually vetting me, and I'm like, this is interesting. Let's see how far we can go. And then I said, okay, you need to stop. This stuff needs to stop. This is where I draw the line, you know. And it's like, yeah, that Noelle. Oh. Meaning that these people had it in for my poor dad and my family, and then we found out that I had, you know, this royal noble heritage, and it's a big deal apparently, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just, it's just a lot for me. I'm not playing pity party or something like that, but I mean, Jesus, people are trying to actually kill us. I have a bounty on my head. My son is too. That's, you know, I think I'm allowed a little bit of sympathy here, because this is pretty serious. Not everybody has that. Anyway, people need to kind of back off a little bit. Okay, I'm getting back to this, okay? Anyway, Lois's photography, beautiful. And, okay, so another portion in another chapter, chapter 5 at the shoreline, that was kind of chopped out. I'm gonna review, so some of this might overlap the original recording, so that's okay, guys, just bear with us, okay? Let me start here. This is after I show the Lois Greenfield photo, you know, the book, and I kind of expand upon all of that. While we were having one of our bi-weekly meetings preparing for the concert, the Beefly shared how one of her students lost their grandfather in the middle of a past dance production, and she had to leave for the funeral. She said she felt she was pegged as the bad guy for having to drop the student from the show, but the student didn't know when she'd return and have to move forward with the production. I felt badly for her. I knew what it was like to have to make such a hard decision, but I also found it odd that this resonated deeply with me when she said this. I wasn't sure why, so I put it in a holding cell in my heart for the moment. I'm going to hold that up.
Yes.
And just to expand upon that, I kind of remember what I had said. I've been, like my book says, in those positions where you have to choose between, do you let the student or performer go, or do you take the risk that they're going to be back? That is never, can you not hold that in my, yeah, sorry. That is never an easy position. That is never a good place to be. And I feel for her, because I know what it's like to do that. And you give them an opportunity, but you got to make a call, a judgment call on that, in a sense, not on a person's person themselves, but on the situation. And a lot of times when we've had dancers do things like that, you know, you can't let people walk all over you. I once had a dancer that was petting me like an animal. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
During the rehearsal. And I'm like, I don't think so. Something like that is extremely disrespectful. She's like, you're so tiny. And, you know, I'm like, that's not appropriate. That is not a compliment. And I had to be very firm with this young lady and say, you don't do that. You do not touch me like that. You know, it's like, I just met her. She was, right? I've only known her for like a couple months. And it's just like, people just need to understand, you can't just do that with people. And, you know, I had to say, you can't do that. And I have to stand up. And you have to be firm. And your voice gets much stronger. And you have to. You can't let things like that go. You really can't. And so, you know, the same type of thing, too, when you have somebody that's, you know, having a predicament like that, that's hard. And, you know, she wasn't the bad guy. And when I do stuff like that, that's not the bad guy. You know, I almost feel like people set people up. I can't even tell you how many times we've had cue people come in, or there'll be third parties of that group, and they try to set us up. And my company has been destroyed from inside out many times, kind of like mutinies and stuff. And they try to frame you, and I'm like, that's enough. I do not allow people, and we have to put all this stuff in our contracts now. Don't touch the artistic director, don't, you know, do this, don't do that. And anytime something happens, we have to have a phone call and immediately write an incident report or anything like that. And I was like, why is it always so constant? And then you realize, oh, there's somebody planting these people in your life. And you start seeing the pattern, and then it's like, something's up here, because I'm always very nice to people, but when they start doing things that are just completely out of the line, and you know, they had been doing a lot of things, it wasn't just that, it was, and I say they because it was like a tag team. I'm like, so okay, you play good cop, bad cop, and you guys trying to meet in the middle, and I'm like, I don't think so. So yeah, I have to stand up for myself too, and I think she had to. She told me a little bit more, but let me continue. She shared intimacies about her family and her schooling. She had it rough, but I respected her for having gone through it all. It was not an easy life. Still, I sensed there was more, a lot more beneath her smile. With each of her stories, often I found myself defaulting to putting up my wall again. However, I felt obligated to reciprocate and shared a few things here and there. Is that where I left off? However...
Is it page 76?
Yeah.
Yeah, then that's where you left off.
Okay, let me just read a little bit more. It's going to overlap. You know, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It sounds like I'm being redundant. I am. I just want to make sure this gets covered properly. I've been down this cobblestone path of pain before. The shade from the emotional trees felt somewhat familiar, but it was delivered from a different one's face, a different one's story. It can be different this time. So that's this portion up here.
Show it to the camera. Okay, got it.
So anyway, I just had to go back and fill those blanks in. We did not make those blanks happen ourselves. Like I said, somebody is trying to edit our videos while we are recording them, in a sense. And so, you know, I'll put a stop to that too. So, okay guys, so enjoy that little reread and insert. Sorry, I'm not done up. There's more to me than just beauty queen, okay? This was the moment I had to do something. Anyhow, many blessings to you. Much love, and enjoy the rest of chapter, what is it, chapter 5, I think, right? Yeah, okay. Onward. However, I felt obligated to reciprocate and shared a few things here and there. I've been down this cobblestone path of pain before. The shade from the emotional trees felt somewhat familiar. longer. But it was delivered from a different one's face, a different one's story. It can be different this time, I thought to myself, but I was afraid to open a door because of past disappointments. I also knew that it could change and be better this time around, but I didn't know if I had any more love inside of me to risk being broken. This precious woman was sharing her heart with me. At least I could listen and care, and at least express some of my things on that level. I did share with her that my Nana said to listen to her, and so I did, for the most part. I conveyed that my Nana wanted me to live and dance and do all these wonderful things. That's what I wanted to do. The Beefly showed a few photos to me. One in particular I loved. It had a beautiful woman underneath in a sheer piece of fabric. It was gorgeous, and I was inspired. I told the Beefly I wanted to do a dance with fabric someday, and I did. It was called the Silent Rose. I never saw her dance. Only that one photo. I'm certain our dances were not similar. I don't like to copy people. 4 years later, she would see that dance, but I never saw hers. I'd love to see it. I'm sure it was great. But, you know, I've had other people see my dance I do with the fabric, and they were inspired to do something, too. And so they did it. And they actually did one of my ideas that I was talking about behind the scenes. Yeah, thanks a lot, Q. Listening to me and giving my stuff to other people. What is your issue, Q? I mean, really? You're gonna get sued. I mean, it's not like we don't have evidence that I was talking about it and it happens over and over and over again. I don't get it. We had a lovely time every other week or so, or half an hour in her office, chatting mostly about dance and dance production and new ways that I could help her. I made a poster for her, and I did a whole bunch of stuff for her. In between all of that, she shared some more stories, and I finally started to open up and share too. I offered to do sewing, graphics, anything that would help. I had a lot of time open to do as we dreamed. She emailed me how much she appreciated all that I was doing and was impressed that I had talents hiding everywhere. She thanked me for my dedication. I stopped a moment and thought, is she for real, or is she playing me to smooth me over what happened last semester, like an atonement? Again, odd. I didn't think about my talents. I just knew to help people, and so I replied to her. I just a little sensitive. Sunday, March 2nd, 2008 at 4:19 p.m. my reply. I read talents, and all honestly, most of it was birthed because I was sick. I don't take lying in bed, lying down, laugh out loud. I guess now I can't keep it all for myself. I have to give. I've done a lot in my short life thus far, but I never really lived my life. Now I feel like I'm coming alive. I hope this doesn't sound corny, but you've inspired me to keep going. And then I wrote, shackles broken, cage open, my wings just a little rusty. See you Monday, Noelle. Sorry, I just don't do things small. I have to do things big and me, and this is just really who I am. Weeks in that semester passed on, and the sharp pinching in. There you go.
Yeah.
In. My right breast soon turned into sharp stabbing pain. I don't know if during class of Beefly or anyone ever saw me flinch or grab at what may have seemed to be my armpit, or my boob really. But I knew at some point soon I'd have to deal with it, but it wasn't going to be now. Not that I was living in denial, I just wanted to be left alone, even with my own body. But I don't have to worry about that anymore, because I have 2 secrets. After a while, you guys say, you know what, fuck it. Okay, later that day, my aunt had called to let me know that Nana's cancer had returned again. I couldn't manage any more stress. I kept the breast pain a secret for a time longer, as I didn't want to be a burden, especially to her. So there's 3 hers I'm talking about. My aunt, my nana, and the bee fly. Could apply to all of them. In the next few days, my best friend in Vegas was trying to figure out a way for me to see my nana one last time. We all knew it was close to the end for her. Nothing we tried worked. My best friend texted me, "We gotta find a way to get you to see your nana." I knew she was right, and her heart's motives pure, but I also felt that it wasn't meant to be. There was another plan for my life, another purpose at this time, and I wouldn't be able to see nana again. Oh, if you recall, as I read in earlier chapters, the bee fly wanted me to get a doctor's note because I had, at the time, I had a mitral valve prolapse issue. It doesn't bother me anymore. Actually, you can outgrow it. You can heal it in a sense and mend it naturally. Isn't that cool? I found that out through research, and then I did all those things, and it's like, okay. I didn't know that at the time, but I figured it out, and it's like a thing. So, okay. St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2008 was unfolding in a beautiful way. I had finished my costumes for my dance piece and was excited to show them to the bee fly for approval. She was very particular about things, and I didn't mind this aspect of it at all. For this Monday's appointment, she said 1:30 p.m. would be good for her. We talked more about dance and the production and some beautiful personal things. I was really starting to let her in. Trust was being built. As we chatted at our meeting, my cell phone buzzed. I looked down at my purse where it was tucked away. I could tell by the alert that it was my brother. Only nights before, I prayed that God wouldn't let my nana suffer. I had a feeling what it was about. I didn't want to answer it. I knew that my nana was gone and my brother was calling to let me know. Yeah, I just kind of knew. I knew, and I'm like, okay, God doesn't want me with my nana, but he wanted me with the bee fly. I don't know why. Maybe she can tell me someday. I mean, I have ideas, but I knew that's what it was supposed to be, because it's just perfect. For some reason, I don't know, maybe I gave her strength. I have no idea. Yeah, I knew that my nana was gone and my brother was calling to let me know. When my heart dropped out, I had a sense of peace. Then I felt a warm brush against my soul. It was Nana. I believe she was saying goodbye for now, but that she was pleased, well pleased with me. And that she wasn't sad that I couldn't make it to Vegas to see her one last time. I felt her presence letting me know that I was exactly where I was supposed to be with who I was supposed to be with. I didn't answer my phone because I already knew what had happened and I could do nothing to change things. And I looked later and it was my brother and that's what he was calling to tell me. I just get senses about these things, that's all I can say. I wondered if she questioned why I wouldn't pick up my phone or if she noticed that it was signaling me. Additionally, I didn't like crying in front of people, and if I did, I was allowing a special vulnerability that was a privilege. I've gotten used to sharing my emotions, as you can tell. I'm doing these videos, you know. Oh my God. We wrapped up our meeting and I walked home clutching my purse to my chest. My tears were held back by my fear of anyone seeing my distress. A white butterfly made a brief appearance, and I gasped. Was this a sign that my Nana was okay? The white darling flew away. Come back, I squeaked out. The damn tears broke and I ran home. There you go.
Here you go.
I cried on my couch for an hour, or maybe it was 2. My sense of time had been warped, and all things seemed surreal. As a dancer, you rely on your feet to meet and find the floor. They had never failed to do that. This time, I couldn't find the floor to comfort me. Nana was like a mom to me, substituting for my true mother most of the time. I had managed to speak with my brother. He confirmed it. Nana was gone. I always have had a sense of this type of thing. Damn it, I wish I was wrong. I emailed the B-Fly with a huge dawning upon me. She had just shared with me how a former student had something similar happen. I didn't want her to worry, and I didn't want her to think I wasn't returning or that I would desert her like another student did. It's strange how with just a few words spoken we can be prepared for something in the future. Isn't that weird, how that worked out? Was she divinely used to foreshadow and prepare me for Nana's passing? It was very thought-provoking to me. Or was it Q? A lot of perspective since I wrote this. Then I realized another thing. If it weren't for her demanding a doctor's clearance note, I would not have seen Nana one last time before she died. Oh yeah, I didn't finish that number 4. But it's true. So, that's why I didn't get mad at her for that, you know. My aunt and I discussed services for Nana. We decided she should have a Christian service, being that she was a Catholic, and then later in life chose a non-denominational Christian belief. My aunt asked if I still knew the pastor who renewed my and my husband's wedding vows. I said yes. With that is some irony and some interesting heartstrings that were inadvertently plucked. This pastor and his wife were the leaders in the church that my family was wounded in. This too would deserve an entire book for itself. My journals contain the pain like a jar of tears. For now, we will leave it at that. We arranged for this pastor and his wife to officiate the family service memorial for Nana. Nana, what the fuck? It's the same. The following Friday, they knew her and knew my family. They agreed, and I was actually looking forward to seeing them after not seeing them for many years. I chuckled at the intricacies of life. It had been a long time ago since this wound occurred. I was already healing from that chapter of my life by letting the bee fly into my heart. These things seem to present themselves again in life to test us. I was about to see if I could pass this test. Bittersweet or bitterness? Healing my past so that I could have a future, this would be a good thing. The following night I went to class. I didn't want to be alone in my sorrow. I wanted to be among the living, dancing, and this is what I did. I stayed in the back of the room by myself, by my own choice. For now, we will also leave this at that. There's just some, headbutting things. I went home after class and I wrote in my journal, if I could imagine the most incredible day, it would begin with rising in a completely healthy body with no remembrance of the horrors of the past. I'll show that.
Yeah. He's back, by the way.
Super quick.
Let me just finish this real quick.
He's here?
Yeah, he's right there. Here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, letting him in.
A stroll at the beach and the brisk ocean waves chasing my feet as the white foam crests along the shore. I wouldn't be alone. On either side of me would be my 2 greatest loves. One, my soulmate and lover. The other, my deepest love, whose spirit has enraptured my heart since his birth. It would be ever so sweet for the 3 of us to etch out our love for one another in the sand. We would marvel, that's not a hint drop, at this mighty creation, vastness, and unmeasurable weight of love. We would form beautiful music with our heartstrings and reflect on our time spent together, knowing that our lives are like the waves, one following the other with perchance to meet the shore at the same time. Just as the sea foam breaks on the shoreline, so does man's life on earth, each wave, each life temporary and fleeting, each serving its own purpose. Nana's life and mine crossed for a time. Her wave led and mine follows. Hers broke at the shoreline while mine continues for a time. I know God met her there at the shoreline. She was not broken anymore. Nana was not broken anymore. She would not be tormented by the horrors of her life and freed from the pain of the past. Illness would not reach her, youth and beauty never leaving. Her body would no longer get tired. She would be dancing like the majestic queen she was. I felt more peace wash over me like soothing waves on the shore. I would miss her greatly. The next day I informed the bee-fly I wouldn't be missing any classes and that I was returning. I stressed this so she would not worry or panic that I wouldn't return. She wished me well and said take all the time needed to gather myself afterward. No classes were missed, and I met all my deadlines and commitments without failure. I did the same thing when my mom passed, too. We found ourselves again in Las Vegas. We escaped this place to seek healing for my body. Healing was found, but at a high price. I never wanted to come back to the land of my suffering. However, there I was. There we all were again. We parked in front of the wellness home that Nana lived in. Our former pastor and his wife drove up. A few moments after our arrival, my husband clasped my hand. Breathe. I laughed. This word had new meaning to it now. We got out of our vehicle. It seemed like being at the top of a roller coaster hill. Once the car peaks the summit, gravity takes over, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. So I did what I do on roller coasters. I put my arms up, and I enjoyed the ride. I embraced my former pastor's wife. The love was still there, and any fault or blame I had towards her melted away. It is amazing what love can do. Not that we just allow abusive things to happen to us, but we can certainly learn to forgive and move forward. She called me sweetheart and held me in her bosom. She expressed how sorry she was for my loss and we walked into the home together. This may sound cliche, but it was as if nothing ever happened, and with that embrace, torn cords were retethered together. It wasn't like our relationship, restarted again. I don't even know if that's a cute person or not, but whatever.
Here you go.
Hold on. Inside, my entire family was there. Brothers, aunt, mom, boyfriend, uncle, Nana's caretakers, and the other ladies and gentlemen that lived there. I hugged my mom. I hadn't seen her in years. There was an emotion in our eyes, a knowing of something that was separate from Nana's passing. What is it, Mom? She shook it off. It's nothing. We'll talk another time. It's good to see you. You look good. I had no idea what it was. I squeezed her again. Over her shoulder on the counter was a gorgeous photo of Nana, and alongside of it, her ashes in a box. A box. That was Nana, they told me. It was not her. She was a larger-than-life woman, vibrant, loving, hysterical, and beautiful. She was not a box of ashen memories to be stored on a closet shelf. I walked up to it and looked at it for a few seconds and sat down. That was not Nana. I have been spared seeing any of my family members' lifeless bodies. I have seen a few corpses strewn on roads with sheets covering most of their remains, and also at the morgue in Vegas when we were shooting our docudrama, Baby Does Heartbeat. At a distance, I've seen at Weeple's mortuary a dead unknown woman lying in a coffin. We were forced to go to this mortuary for a college class when I was 16. I do not want to see anyone's lifeless body. I cannot handle this. If I were to see this up close, I would break. I could see myself attempting to resuscitate the person. Death rattles my inner being and shatters my core. I had had a hard enough time when our pet, praying mantis, died. We were meant to live. I firmly believe that while death is a reality, it was never supposed to be this way, spiritually speaking. While the pastor spoke beautiful words, my uncle, who sat next to me, bawled his eyes out, and I grieved with him. We held each other. What else could we do? This woman meant a lot to many people, and she would be missed. This was the second most grueling day of my life. The ultimate worst day would present itself only 4.5 years later. For you and your experience, it will happen in only a few chapters from now. Interesting. I'm breaking the fourth wall here, like I'm kind of talking to you. What took a few years in time is reduced to only a few moments, a turning of a few pages. It's like looking at a cell phone calendar. You quickly flip through the years in seconds, but to live it takes a lifetime. This is my life, and experiencing it moment by moment, just like we're experiencing this hell. To say, oh yeah, we had to stay in our vehicle so we didn't get poisoned. You think, oh, that ain't too bad. No, it's really bad, because you're not taking into consideration all the little steps, all the little heartbeats and moments that comprise this time for us. It's bad. It's hell. After the tissue boxes passed around the room and the ceremony completed, I said goodbye to our old pastor and his wife. I reflected on the past, how she was my spiritual mother. At one time, I hugged her goodbye and we both smiled. I haven't seen her since. Occasionally, I would receive an email from her. While this relationship has mended somewhat, this particular story is far from over. I have this sense that I'll be visiting her someday. My aunt had gathered all of Nana's things and split them up among the grandchildren and the rest of the family. She had so... Why don't you go ahead and...
There you go.
She had so many photos, mementos, papers, and trinkets. We had a good time remembering her life and laughing about the Lucy moments that seemed to just happen to her. Not a perfect woman, but she loved her family, us, and she loved God most of all. Nana's death brought a reunion for my family and a healing with my past relationship that was severed between my pastor's wife and I. It was a beginning that I never believed would happen, but hoped for. It was a time for goodbye. We had a life in LA and responsibilities that we couldn't disregard. I said goodbye to my family, and I looked at my mom wondering what she wanted to tell me. I told her I was dancing again. She raised her eyebrows and gave her vague approval with cute hippie pixie smile. I don't think she grasped what I was telling her, but she was thrilled for me. For the first time, I think my mom actually approved of my dancing. There wasn't a butting of heads at all. This was the best compliment I received. She said to come visit her on her boat in Florida. She was living her dream and made it happen. I knew Mom well enough to know that there was more she wanted to say to me but didn't. My words of wisdom to you, the reader. Don't hesitate to say things, because you just never know. There are some things that are certain and there are some things that are unknown. You must seize every moment you have, because you don't know if you'll have those moments again. On our drive back to LA, Los Angeles, the vibration of the wheels on the road lulled me to sleep. In my dreams, Nana visited me and told me to get my breast checked. I did. It didn't take long to get the news. My nemesis had returned for a second battle. The warrior within me rose up. I was furious. Here you go.
There you go.
Alright. That was chapter 5, right?
Yep. Pretty
Yep.
much.
Chapter 6 is on its way, and after I read chapter 6 and complete that reading, we'll be halfway done, beloveds. Halfway done. So there you go. again, doing it so you guys can compare. If you buy my book and you get something else other than what we get or what we published, that's a problem. You need to know about that. So yeah. Alright. Okay.